I am Sadanri. I'll be hosting this little podcast. I have my guest slash co-host. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Richard, on YouTube known as Richard2410. I am the designer of the very, very popular The Thing 2 RPG.
Yes, very popular.
I'm glad to be joining you here.
Yeah, wonderful. Now that we got this thing going, might as well talk about some events going on. A lot of shit going on this February. But first we'll be talking about the Direct, which is pretty significant in terms of it actually being a full-length one, since we've been having nothing but mini Directs for the past, 2 years? Or 1 year? How long has it been since we had a full length? You said it was
like people actually counting these. It's been at least a year and a half. Some people are saying 500 days, and they did smaller ones and partnerships, but they seem to have delayed a lot of the releases due to the COVID, and it didn't help. They restarted Metroid, and it looks like they've been having issues with Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, we had that trailer for Breath of the Wild, and it looked pretty cool. It showed Ganon being revived, because, Ganon's always in these games. Most of them anyways. But yeah, just like any other game that showed a trailer, like Metroid Prime 4 and etc., we haven't heard nothing. Nothing. Been over a year, 2 years, since we heard anything from these franchises. And that may be due to COVID, or other reasons, because, I don't know, game production, hell, we should be very familiar with that,
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, this shit ain't easy, especially when you got to manage a full team. Crunch time.
Speaking of Breath of the Wild, though, it was a bit of like when the guy came on, the director, and he was there, and you see him, you automatically think, oh, Zelda. And it was funny because he literally just apologized, and he said he had nothing to say. Oh, you think I'm here about Breath of the Wild? And he's like, oh no, sorry.
He's got to calm down the lynch mob, waiting for that mob. He already knew. He already acknowledged us. He's like, oh God, please don't do anything to me. I'm just trying my best. Here, have some of this remake or port of a popular Wii U. Wait, was it Wii U game? Skyward Sword?
It was on the Wii towards the end of its lifespan. I don't know if it was very popular, because at the time they released the Wii Motion Plus, and it was like this extra accessory you needed to make the controller better or something. But it did come with the controller as like an extra, but I don't know if it was a very popular game. It had like these force motion controls to swing Link's sword, but thankfully they have removed them in the HD remake. They're optional.
Did you actually have to swing around those sticks to mimic the motion?
Yeah, the nunchuck would have been the shield.
Oh, the nunchucks, I forgot that they used to call them.
Yeah, it's really stupid. Like, it back in the day, it was really good, but I mean, looking back on it, it just looks ridiculous.
At least they were trying to implement it to the Joy-Cons, but I'm not sure how well that's going to turn out, but only one.
It is optional, though. You can now use the stick to swing the sword in different directions if you're playing on controller.
Yeah, they're giving you an extra option, which is nice. And people were complaining about the full price tag, so $60 for a remaster, I guess.
I mean, it's hard with Nintendo because, I mean, even Link's Awakening was 60, and I feel like that could at least be a 30 or 40 game.
It's a short game, dude. It's a very short game.
Yeah, it's very short.
It's less than 10 hours. If you're decent at puzzles, you don't take forever on them. Not a complete idiot. But yeah, it's a very short game.
It's hard because I don't think playtime should justify the price, but
yeah, there's always
I do understand that. Yeah, it does sting a bit with the price tag, especially as this is literally just a HD version. I'm not sure how much effort they've put in, but it's still quite an old title.
Skyward or
I was hoping Skyward.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping for a bit more though, because they've got the 35th anniversary this year.
What month is it on?
I think it's supposed to be. I thought it was February. I'm not too sure, but I think they're finishing the Mario stuff up first.
We're always finishing up some Mario in the background.
Well, he's just had his big anniversary, hasn't he? That they announced in October.
What did they release? Was it a golf game or something? Wait, was it a golf game?
No, that was in the Direct. They released the All Stars collection.
Oh yeah, that.
Which is a limited time release.
Yeah, and it ends in March, I think.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have Galaxy 2.
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining about that. And yeah, this new practice of Nintendo recently of having limited time releases for like even digital material is very odd, to say the least. I don't know what the deal with that
Yeah,
is. Like,
I'm not a big fan.
is that really a lucrative way to make money compared to having it permanently sold? Like,
I'm not too sure, but they've not been great with the legacy content, to be honest.
yeah, like kind of like with Fire Emblem 1, the
Yeah,
report or whatever you call it.
that's weird. It's getting released for the first time in English, but it's not the remake on the 3DS. It's the original NES version, and it's digital only.
Yeah. Well, there was like
And
a limited edition one that was like 60 or 40 bucks. Well, it's like 60 bucks,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, it just comes with a code though. It's not physical.
Oh, it doesn't actually have a physical disc or a cartridge.
No, it's got like an art book, a
Oh.
fake NES cartridge, and a code.
A fake NES cartridge.
yeah,
It's just like a figurine, but a cartridge. Great.
yeah, it's a bit daft.
That was until March too, right? The sales period.
I think that's limited only as well.
Yeah, that one's
It's a
limited.
bit weird. I was hoping they would have done more for Fire Emblem, but oh well.
Yeah, they were expecting like another remake since
Oh.
people like theorized that since SOV had its remake 25 years after its release, it was going to happen to Genealogy, which today, this month apparently, it was going to also have its 25th anniversary. So people thought, maybe, just maybe, we'll get an FE4 remake. But that obviously didn't happen.
Well, I take anything at this point.
Yeah, it's been Three Houses came out like what, 2019?
Yeah, I believe so.
November.
They finished the DLC last January, I think.
Yeah, and they added some interesting features to that DLC because I think they also added a weapon triangle in that DLC, the Ashen ones or whatever you call it.
Sort of. There was like that story mode, that DLC story mode.
Yeah, between like some other random students that we never seen in the main story.
They do appear in the main game, but to be honest, the DLC is pretty lackluster.
It's pretty what?
Lackluster, disappointing.
In terms of gameplay and story or just everything?
It doesn't really add much. Like the new characters are interesting, but for the price and like everything involved, it's just not great.
But what about all those fancy costumes, like the school uniforms and all that the shit?
Yeah, like even the maid costumes were just like trash. Utter trash. There's like a bondage costume for a Byleth where he dresses as Sophus. It's just weird.
I don't remember that outfit. Maybe I have to look that up.
Well, you know
Bondage.
how Sophus has all the ropes on her? That's like in Japan, a form of like bondage is rope bondage.
Oh, that
And
shit.
like, it's a bit weird that they've got like Sophus in the ropes. I always thought that was weird, but then you can dress Byleth in it, which is just even weirder.
I don't know. The direction they went with the costumes is questionable, but it's more of a meme at this point. Like you're dressing all these warriors going into battle for their country, and you got them dressed in these weird, wacky outfits.
Yeah, there was like pajamas and stuff, and it was just bizarre.
It's pricey. It's worth the content.
Oh yeah, but we are going off topic a little bit.
That's directed to this direct. Well, it's Nintendo related, anyways. It's all general,
Yeah, sure.
as long as it fits the category.
Anyway, speaking of the direct, how did you feel about that Xenoblade fighter reveal? Smash Brothers really needed another sword fighter, didn't they?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of these anime games have a protagonist that wields a sword, so
It wasn't even the protagonist though.
It
was
is.
the
Rex doesn't
protagonist.
exist.
Weapon.
Rex doesn't matter. Like even in the commentary, you have Rex in the background just commentating. It's kind of sad. He's just kind of sidelined there. Nobody gives a shit about him. Like he gets a bad rep. Like I played Xenoblade 2 for like 25 hours. I haven't finished it yet. I only got to the part where the blonde one, Mifra, is that her name? Mifra?
Yeah. I've not played it, but I do know of it. Are you playing it with the English or the Japanese voices?
The English.
Oh, dude, you need to change them. The English voices are really weird.
It must be weird coming from an Englishman listening to these English dub, huh?
Yeah, it's just really strange. I don't like Rex's voice.
Not sure why these guys have English voices though. I just found it comical when I first heard the voice. Like, why is everyone British in this mythical land? Is this how Britain will look like in like 200 years?
God.
Oh Lord. But yeah, the whole trailer was funny.
Smash has been really big for Nintendo. I did think the first Fighters Pass was a bit better though. It was a bit weird, like because they started with Joker from Persona, and they had all third-party characters, but they ended up with Byleth from Three Houses. I think that got a lot of people really salty.
Oh yeah, of course, because anime sword fighter. Oh my god, what is this weep shit? And of course, swords. Everybody, that's how it is with these fan bases. They get salty when their representative doesn't get in. They want Dante, they want Doom Guy, they want Crash Bandicoot, they want, how it goes.
I do think Crash has a good chance, to be honest. But we just got Sephiroth, so I think the swords are a bit heavy again.
I thought Sephiroth was already in Smash Bros. For some reason. I was surprised when I saw him. I was like, wait, I thought, wasn't he in Smash Bros. When I saw him? I was like, no, only Cloud is the only FF character in Smash Bros. At the moment, I think. And there's Sephiroth.
Yeah, Cloud is really sad because he comes with like a stage and 2 tracks. He doesn't have like all the other characters have got extra music and stuff. There's some weird legal issues around it, but having Sephiroth brings a lot more of the Final Fantasy content.
Square Enix doesn't play around.
No, they're really strict, aren't they?
Yeah, they were really bringing down the hammer with all the content of FF7 remake footage coming on YouTube. They were really copywriting people all over the place. Strikes, claims, and all that shit. It was nuts, but yeah.
In terms of Xenoblade, though, have you got the game physically?
I have Chronicles 2, the physical copy of it. I played 25 hours of it so far, but it's a long game, so I probably have way more to go. As for the remake or the remaster of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I haven't bought it yet, but I don't plan on buying it since, I need to finish 2 first because I can't be buying all these games and not playing them, But
that
seems like an interesting game, though.
But in terms of Xenoblade 2, there's a bit of an issue. Like, a lot of the physical hard copies are like going out of stock everywhere.
I've been noticing that for Switch games.
They did a release of the DLC, standalone DLC called Torna, and that's really hard to come by.
Oh, they have a physical release of the DLC?
Yeah, but like, good luck trying to get it. It's really hard to get.
I didn't even know that.
I got it when it came out.
So it's basically 2 separate cartridges just for the DLC in the main game then.
Yeah, but you can buy the DLC with the main game and get it. You can play it through that menu, but there is a standalone cart for the DLC.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's loads of like really valuable games, and it's hard if you're trying to like make a collection, because like if you try and go digital, the problem is like the console only has so much storage space.
Yeah, that's the thing with this Switch. Even if you buy like a card, probably like 200 gigabytes, maybe 300 gigabytes, and it can cost you around $100, which isn't too bad, but still pretty limited compared to like the other consoles. Like the PS4 can have like a 4 terabyte storage slapped onto it, so the gap's very high. But as long as you buy physical, it shouldn't be a problem. But even then, sometimes when you buy physical, you still have to download, which is kind of annoying.
I do buy mainly physical, probably like 90%. I did splurge and get a terabyte SD card.
Damn, how much did that cost?
It was more expensive than the Switch. It was about £400.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I know. Yeah, SD cards are really expensive. Like, external storage has gotten cheaper over the years, but the SD cards, I don't know, they're still really expensive. I think the Switch can support up to 2 terabytes, but I don't think a card actually exists.
I don't think so. Just a regular SD card of that size doesn't exist for now. $400, well, $450 pounds for 1 terabyte.
Yeah,
pretty heavy.
It was ridiculous.
But was it worth it though?
I mean, I've not ever run out of room. I think I've used 200 gigabytes of storage, and I have like over 100 physical games. Yeah, so I think it'd be all right. Like, I mean, I'm not going for a full Switch library. It'd be impossible at this point, but I don't think I'll run out of space, which is pretty good. Probably should have stuck with like a 500-ish one, but oh well.
Well, the Switch seems to be having a long lifespan. Like, when did the Switch release? About 4 or 5 years ago, maybe?
March 2017.
2017.
We're coming up to the 4-year anniversary next month.
Oh, 2017. That's more recent than I thought.
Well, the good news is, like, I'm hoping they stick with the model. Like, they just update it.
Oh, the Super Switch rumor?
Well, as long as they don't, like, I don't know, knowing them, they'll probably, like, do a handheld that takes discs or something next, and then all the cartridges will be useless. They're just really weird how they do stuff.
Yeah, I forgot they had like the Switch Lite upgrade, which I kind of forgot it existed.
But it doesn't switch.
Does it?
It's handheld only.
Oh, you can't dock it.
No, you can't. No, well, not officially.
Well, that's lame. What the hell?
Well, it's a lot cheaper,
I guess that's one selling point, making it cheaper, but still.
and it's more like durable. It's more kid friendly.
Funny thing is, I never actually used the handheld mode of the Switch. I always have it in dock. Ever since I
Yeah,
bought it day
same,
one, I just left it on that dock forever. Never bothered removing it because
Have you never picked it up?
oh, because I don't really feel comfortable taking the Switch outside the house. But I
Yeah,
guess
it's kind of
maybe
expensive.
like, and if I want to play on my bed, I just play with mobile games on my phone because I don't really feel like taking the Switch out for that. I don't
Oh
want to
no,
get robbed.
it is kind of what on your bed. It is kind of good. Like when you're playing a game, if you need to move around the house or you need to do something, you can literally just pick it up and take it with you. It is really good. It's seamless.
And the performance
But,
is surprisingly good, especially like Breath of the Wild. Like I thought that game was gonna lag like shit on the Switch, but I'm surprised by the performance of it. That it can handle a big game like that, no problem.
I've only played a couple of hours, but it does run really well. But it has the advantage of being designed for the system. A lot of third-party ports that aren't treated with love and care do tend to run poorly.
Yeah, all these ports. A lot of
There's been a couple of good ones.
there's been a lot of ports happening, like BioShock and Ninja Gaiden and Hitman and all sorts of other franchises that you never expect to happen on the Switch happen to be ported. Some of them run pretty good.
Yeah, and some of them are actually good value. Like in the direct, the Ninja Gaiden is free of the games. You compare that for $60 compared to Skyward Sword for $60, and you can see where Nintendo's going wrong.
Yeah,
But
Nintendo.
Nintendo will still sell their game.
Yeah, when it comes to Nintendo exclusive IPs, they raise that shit up. No, they don't care. Like these third-party
Oh, it's-
games, whatever, we'll make them cheap. But yeah, our exclusive content will make it expensive as fuck.
It's funny because the top-selling game is a port from the Wii U. It's Mario Kart 8.
Oh, Mario Kart.
It's the top-selling game. I don't think we'll get another Mario Kart at this rate.
Yeah, I see a lot of the people on the friends list playing that game for some reason. I never played any Mario Kart game besides that one from like N64, I think. That was
God,
a
that's
long ass
years
time
old.
ago. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
long ass time ago. That was like the only Mario Kart I played. I should try it out though. It seems like a fun game.
It's
Maybe-
good, but like after playing Crash Team Racing, I don't know. Crash Team Racing is just better.
Yeah, CTR is just so fun.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the time trial scores, but it's a good fun.
Yeah, like CTR is interesting because it's a remake that's actually very well and surpasses the original by far.
Yeah, the only thing I wish they did it. They have all the Nitro Kart content in it. I wish they had the Nitro Kart story mode in it.
Story.
Even as DLC, that would have been good.
Oh, the second one, right?
Yeah,
the one
Nitro
with the
Kart,
alien dude and
the
all that
one
shit.
where the midget guy who's like
Yeah, disguises
all the
himself as
all the
Zillow.
characters are there.
Yeah, they stopped working on that. What was the name? Happy Barn? Or wait, Toys for Bob. Toys for Bob. That's the name. They
Yeah,
stopped working on that for the support, and they started working on Crash Bandicoot 5, I think, wasn't it? It's the same company, or the same studio.
They put a lot of effort in it though. There's a lot of post-launch stuff.
Yeah, they were regularly releasing content over time. The support was pretty good.
Not a fan of the monetization.
Oh yeah, that's
But,
one way to make money, but that's how it is with these companies. They got to make money somehow.
I just wish like stuff was unlockable in game, because like now they're not supporting the game. Like in the future, if you want to play it, you're not going to be able to get any of the post-launch stuff.
Yeah, the only way to buy it without actually buying it is just to grind hours and hours, and that's
It's just not. It's not worth it.
It's typical grinder meta. If you don't want to grind, just have a shortcut and spend a little bit real money, you know?
What did you think about the length of the direct? To be honest, I thought it was a bit long, and there was too much focus on certain genres. I feel like they could have trimmed a lot of the fat using shorter reels, and maybe could have used a bit more diversity in the genres.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised of the amount of JRPGs and side scrollers showing up in that. I was like, wasn't really expecting-
I love that stuff, but it's not really mainstream, is it?
doesn't feel Nintendo. It feels like I'm watching an indie direct, really. Like, I know Mario's like a famous 2D scroller and all that, but
This weird section from EA as well, where they were unveiling this new it looked like some sort of dodgeball game, but for the trailer was more interesting than the gameplay revealed. So they had these different characters from different game genres talking. They were like made up characters. There was a soldier, an orc, and like a pixel princess. Do you remember it?
yeah, that was a very odd ad, I think. I was trying to think, are these characters from a franchise? They seem kind of familiar, but not really.
It was really jarring. I thought they were going to use them characters in some sort of new experience, and it looked quite interesting. But then when they cut to the gameplay
is
it's
kind
just
of
really bizarre.
I don't know. I don't really like the look of it.
Having watched the PlayStation thing as well, they had a different trailer for the game in there, but it was shorter and it didn't have any of that stuff in it. So I think that was the way to go.
I didn't even realize that thing was in the State of Play. That was yesterday, right?
See, the game has no personality other than that trailer, obviously.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize it. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
That thing doesn't really look appealing to me, honest.
Oh no,
It was just
there's a lot
funny
of like,
to look at.
I guess they're trying to cash in on the Fortnite kind of thing, aren't they? Where it's like, oh,
the
this
Splatoon.
zany, wacky.
I like how they saved the final slot for Splatoon, but I'm not really familiar with Splatoon. It seems like an odd game to me.
Yeah, I've not played it.
And
It's weird
sequel.
for Nintendo having a online based game though, because they don't really do online very well.
Yeah, their Wi-Fi is kind of shit.
But who knows? Maybe it works well. Hopefully, it works better than Smash.
The only really interesting thing about that was Bravely Default shown in that direct, or maybe I'm remembering wrong.
It was, but it has been shown a few times before. To be honest, like I'm not really feeling Bravely Default, and I'm not a big fan of the style.
The gameplay is like a typical turn-based one, which is like not really anything.
There's been
different.
a lot of them. There's been a lot of them on the Switch. There's better games, to be honest, that you can play.
Yeah. Even from some of the lesser known brands, you can find some cool stuff.
I've always liked the look of Octopath Traveler, and it was good to see in the direct that they are going for a sort of sequel with it, with Triangle Strategy.
Are they directly correlated? Was it made by the same studio, or is it a coincidence?
I don't think they're directly correlated, but it's Square Enix, and it's the same art style.
Yeah, the art style is the same, and
it's just the genre's slightly different. I do think the trailer was way too long for the direct, though. It was like 5 minutes.
It was also gameplay too.
Yeah, but I feel like your average consumer isn't really going to care about that.
Yeah, the average consumer isn't really into like the SRPG tactical sort of games. It's not very mainstream usually.
I mean, it is good to get a spotlight on these kind of games, but are you really going to dedicate 10% of your runtime to Project Triangle Strategy that doesn't even have a proper name?
Yeah, the name is kind of off, but I guess they're trying to branch out a bit, trying to give a little bit to the spotlight to the lesser known genres, because the whole like game market's dominated in popularity, like first-person shooters or third-person shooters, a bunch of competitive sort of things. It's like that's all you see from all these popular players online and shit is first-person shooters.
I mean, I can understand why, I suppose.
Gotta branch
if it's popular,
out.
That's where they're gonna go. Yeah, I know, but sometimes you gotta go where the money is.
Well, the game itself doesn't look half bad though. It looks like a fun SRPG. I like tactical games and shit.
No, it looks like the actual spiritual successor to Final Fantasy Tactics, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it also has like a moral choice, good and evil.
So maybe it's got a lot of replayability in that respect, which probably is a good thing.
Yeah, replayability is always good, especially if it's done well and you actually enjoy it and you have the motivation to play it over again entirely just to see what the end results in, depending on how well you write the characters.
Oh yeah, that's especially important. Getting older and not having much time to play games.
Yeah, for us old aging dudes, we can't be much gamers as we used to back then.
I love unlocking like New Game Plus and extra things, but like it's commitment now if you want to replay through it again.
It is a commitment, man. Like all these long ass games may seem fun at first because there's so much stuff you can do.
Yeah, but then again, that's like the Skyrim effect, isn't it? Like I've never actually finished Skyrim, but I have never even finished the main story. I know the main story's short, but
yeah, the main story is short.
It's really shit, so I tend to get sidetracked. There's just so much to do, and I've modded it so much, and I've just spent so many hours just faffing about in the game. Like, I need more focused direction because I just tend to run around.
Yeah, it's hard to pay attention to the main story because it wasn't a bad thing because I loved doing all the side content. It was actually very interesting just wandering around, meeting new people, meeting random monsters and all that. I just thought it was very fun at the time. The main quest was like, whatever, I don't need to do it. I sideline that shit.
Yeah, but like, I haven't got time these days to do that. And plus, like, between the release of Skyrim, it's been like 10 years and they haven't released The Elder Scrolls 6. And if they ever do release it, how big is it going to be? Am I ever going to finish it?
They're too busy releasing Skyrim on every console, which I'm pretty sure it's on every console at this point, even the newer ones. It's on PC.
You can even play it on your fridge.
My fridge?
Yeah, there's a version on the fridge.
Fridge? Like refrigerator? Or what are you talking about?
There's a smart fridge that you can play it on.
Smart fridge.
Yeah, there's some ridiculous stuff. You can even play it on Alexa.
Oh, fuck, the first time hearing of this. Smart fridge. What kind of shit are they coming out with this? What's the fridge called?
I don't know. They did like a trailer where they were joking how they put it on everything, but they were actually putting it on everything. So it was kind of a meta joke.
Is Skyrim on mobile, actually? Is it on mobile?
No, but there is that Blades game.
Oh, the online shit.
Well, no, not that one. There's like a mobile... Yeah, it's a bit weird. Skyrim is on the Switch, actually. Again, that's another game that has not gone down in price and is kind of hard to obtain.
Still $60?
Yeah, and I think getting an actual copy of it is pretty hard because I don't think many stores stock it anymore. There have been a lot of good third-party support on the Switch, though. Koei Tecmo have really been working their asses off for Nintendo. They've released like a Warriors game almost every year.
They help with Warriors, they help with Fire Emblem, they help with Atelier series. A lot of good franchises.
They've just released Persona 5 Strikers on the Switch.
Oh, they did Persona 2? Oh, Strikers.
They did Strikers, yeah. We didn't get the original Persona, but we got the sequel / spin-off.
Strikers is just like a beat 'em up, kind of like Hyrule Warriors or something.
Yeah, it looks a bit more than that though. It's got like RPG elements.
It's got an actual story to it.
They do some good spin-off games. The Attack on Titan and the Fairy Tail games are pretty good.
I always thought those anime-based games from the actual shows were kind of odd, like the Attack on Titan game. It seemed really odd to me, but I guess the gameplay does look fun, and they did kind of change the story. It's not like copy and paste the story. They kind of changed it up a bit in the games, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing I do appreciate about the games is they tend to go with original stories, but a lot of the time they're not great. Like the Fire Emblem Warriors game is really good, but the story is just absolute trash.
At least the supports in that game are kind of interesting. You got to see supports between characters you never thought they meet, like Lynn talking to Xander or so forth.
Yeah, but they could have used a bit more variety in the roster.
Oh yeah, it's all Awakening and Fates and FP.
Shadow Dragon mostly.
Yeah, the characters.
But
salty FP
they did
fans.
have. They did show Samurai Warriors 5 in the direct. It's been a while since they released one of those because I think they had a bit of problem with Dynasty Warriors when they released the open world one. I think it was Dynasty Warriors 9. It just kind of bombed, and there's just so many spin-offs for Dynasty Warriors. They used to release it like annually, but they've kind of gone a bit off. They're kind of lazy with their own games, but when it comes to like other people's franchises, they do a really good job. Loads of fan service.
Oh, fan service as in like cities, or fan service as in callbacks?
Oh no, all sorts.
Oh,
I mean,
everything.
they're not afraid of the former, but like the Hyrule Warriors game has loads of like Zelda stuff in it. It's just like all the little touches and stuff are brilliant.
I've seen a lot of the characters in Hyrule Warriors. A lot of cool characters I've never seen before from the older games and shit.
Yeah, I also find it's a good way to learn about like games history because like obviously you can't play all the Zelda games on the Switch legitimately. So
not for now, anyways. Just wait for the ports, man.
Oh yeah, they're coming any day now.
The $60 ports.
Yeah, I guarantee you they'll release. They've already released them on the Wii U, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in HD. I'm sure they'll be separate and full price.
They're not gonna come in a pack, man. Separate.
Oh, that'd be too generous.
Way too generous. I'm surprised they bundled the Mario games in 3 in 1. Surprisingly.
Yeah, that was really surprising, but it was kind of taken away from the fact that it was limited time release.
Yeah, there's always a give and take going on there. I bought the game, but I haven't gone around to playing it though. I want to play Sunshine.
I played 64 again. I have played it in the past, and I did 100% it. It was very difficult. I started Sunshine. Sunshine's really weird. It's really jank.
Yeah, the water cannon mechanic's kind of weird.
It's fun though. I was having a good time. Have you played Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey? Yeah, I think I played like 10 hours of it, but I haven't got around to finish it.
Oh, that game was really good. I played it twice actually. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's the one where he flies around the world with a balloon and shit, but he has to make stops constantly.
Yeah, but you can take over people. You can take over creatures with the hat. It's just brilliant. It's really fun.
Yeah,
and Mario controls really good.
Yeah, the platforming was pretty streamlined. It was not too janky compared to other shit.
Yeah, whereas in like Mario 64 and Sunshine, a lot of the time you fall off platforms and stuff because the jumping isn't as fluid as it is in modern games. It's really hard to go back and adjust.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people complaining about that. Controls are still that old feeling, you know?
Yeah, it's like playing RE1 with tank controls. It's just, you don't do. You go and play the HD version with like the modern controls.
Yeah, even if you use like a newer controller like the Pro Switch controller, it's still kind of janky. I can't imagine using the Joy-Cons because I never play with the Joy-Cons at all. They just look too
Sometimes you
uncomfortable.
have to. Like, I'll give you an example. In Pokemon Let's Go, there was no option to play with a controller. You have to play with a Joy-Con.
Really?
Yeah, you can play in handheld, but I wanted to play on the TV.
I didn't know they forced you to do that shit.
Yeah, so I was using the Pokeball controller, and I don't know, it would have been better with a controller.
Well, speaking of Pokemon, how about that presentation yesterday?
Mixed bag.
Mixed bag?
Mixed bag. I've seen a lot of debate about it.
Which ones?
I'm not a big fan of the Pokemon Company, to be honest.
Yeah, they're infamous for their practices and consumers. It's not a very good one.
It's not just that. I think they're pretty lazy. Like,
yeah. They reuse a lot of assets. Like, you've seen video comparisons of the Switch animations or the Sword and Shield animations being reused from the 3DS animations of like Hal, that guy Hal from Sun and Moon. They reused the same animations for what's that kid's name again? I keep forgetting the name. Leon's little brother, the rival. Yeah, whatever his name is, but they have the same animations. It's hilarious.
Well, how did you find Shield?
Shield without the DLC was pretty lackluster, though they did improve a lot of the quality of life aspects to it. They made it a lot more easier, and not just the gameplay, like the battles itself were pretty easy, which is kind of a negative. But everything else, like the Pokedex, the PC, the items, were pretty convenient to use. As a Pokemon game, I prefer that the 2D generation was a lot more better. It had a lot more love put into it compared to the newer games where they're just kind of releasing it just to make some money.
Yeah, I still haven't played Sword and Shield. I am still on the fence. I probably would never play it. I don't know, it just doesn't look great. I think visually, Let's Go looks better. I was let down by Let's Go, though. I was hoping, because it was kind of like a spin-off rather than a remake.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a spin-off of completely different character.
I don't like the mechanics of catching a Pokemon, and the battles are way too easy. But I don't feel like Sword and Shield, even with the DLC, has been a great step in the right direction for the franchise. In the Pokemon presentation, they did show Pokemon Acreus, which people are calling the Breath of the Wild of Pokemon.
The open world, we've been expecting an open world for a while, and Sword and Shield was kind of looked open world from the trailers, but it's just the same old like linear pathway type of game.
I think they're kind of selling it as a spin-off though, because they've called it Pokemon Legends.
There's not too much information available on it though.
They might be using it as like a test for what's to come to see how the reception is. Yeah, but I think it still looks janky. It still looks really bad in the gameplay footage.
Yeah, plus the release date is like 2022, which is fuck. That's pretty far off, and we're probably not going to hear anything about it, just like fucking Metroid Prime and Zelda and all that shit. It's like, oh, here's this trailer, and we're not going to hear anything about it for another 2 years.
Well, the odds are it could get delayed.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get delayed.
It probably needs it though.
Yeah, because they certainly need to put a lot more effort into it.
I don't think they've been on a hot streak on the Switch at all. Game Freak, I don't know, they just don't develop well for console.
They kind of had a rough transition from black and white to X and Y. It's like experimental territory for them to completely transition to 3D. I guess they weren't completely ready for it. It was just for the sake of transitioning to the newer consoles, since the DS and the 3DS, their lifespans were going away pretty much. They had to adapt to the newer generation.
Nintendo as a whole don't really let other third parties handle their IPs. In recent years, they've been quite friendly with Koei Tecmo though, which has been a good sign. But in terms of developing actual games for them, they did have that Ubisoft one with Mario Rabbit. But it is good to see that they're letting Pokemon be handled by other companies. The Diamond and Pearl remakes do look kind of janky, but they are being handled by a third party.
What's third party?
Really, yeah, they're being ported by. They had the name in the direct. I forgot. I didn't write it down. They even made a point about it. They like brought the name and everything first. I do see why they're going with the chibi approach. They're sort of making it like a faithful remake.
But it's just very odd to look at compared to the
visual style is great. Link's Awakening looks better.
Yeah, it's a lot more clean looking. It's a lot more graphically pleasing, while the remakes of Diamond and Pearl look a little plasticky kind of way. They look low
Yeah,
quality.
they might have been better going with sprites, to be honest.
Like 2D sprites or
Well, you know how Octopath Traveler is like
oh that
2.5D? Like, I really like that aesthetic.
yeah, it's a
Like,
unique game.
there is a lot they could have done, but regardless of the graphics, like, it's the gameplay that's important at the end of the day. I've never played Diamond and Pearl. I've heard they're really good though, so I am actually looking forward to that as opposed to Sword and Shield.
Yeah, they were pretty fun, and I did hear that they were going to incorporate some of the mechanics from Platinum into it, so that's good to hear at least.
I'm a little disappointed that they're still selling them as two separate games.
Yeah, at this point though, they've been doing it forever, especially with Auras, the remakes, fucking Parting Gold.
Yeah,
it's tradition with them, and they know it makes them more money because version exclusives. Oh, you want this certain Pokemon, you're gonna have to buy the other game. Oh, you want this one? Oh, buy this one. It's an effective tactic, but it's kind of dirty at the same time, but that's business for you, you know?
Speaking of the best looking Pokemon game though, Pokemon Snap, or new Pokemon Snap, looks amazing visually.
You played the original or the first one or whatever?
I've not played the original. I am hoping there is more to do in this game and they don't just ride off the status of the original, because I think the original is quite short.
So all you basically do is just write in a card and just take pictures of all day, doesn't it?
Yeah, basically. But it does look like you can move around a bit in this one. It is also being developed by a third party as well. It's not being by Game Freak.
Everything's being made by third party. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping it'll be better.
Yeah, it was the same case with Mystery Dungeon. It was also made by third party as well, and that game was pretty good too.
I didn't actually pick that up. Did you play it?
Yeah, I beat the main story, but apparently it has a lot of post content, which I haven't got into yet. But the main story is like 20 to 15 hours long. It's kind of short.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, but the post content, there's a fuck ton of post content where you can catch a bunch of legendary Pokemon and have some extra side stories as well. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, that's pretty good. It was a fun game though. The gameplay is a lot more different compared to the traditional mechanics we all know about.
How do you feel about Pokemon as an annual release? I feel like it could be better with more time.
Annual release, they release a Pokemon game of any sort like once a year. Doesn't necessarily have to be a mainline game, but it's usually some type of Pokemon game, even the mobile ones like Go and Masters and shit. But I see why they try to do it, because they're trying to be relevant with the consistent content to be released, but at the same time it's kind of working against them because their quality has gone down quite a bit over the years.
Last year, they didn't have a release on the Switch. They opted for the DLC approach instead.
Oh, the Tundra and Armor of Isle. I played the DLCs. They weren't half bad. I enjoyed Tundra a lot more than Armor of Isle. Armor of Isle was kind of like, whatever. It's just battles, while Tundra is more focused on catching Pokemon. It's kind of like a balance. You go to Tundra to catch a bunch of cool Pokemon, legendaries, and other Pokemon from previous titles, while Armor of Isle, they have like all these battle towers and shit that you have to go through. It's kind of a interesting way to put about it, but yeah, Armor of Isle is way shorter and it's not as popular as Tundra, but the DLC itself is kind of an interesting alternative compared to releasing a third version of Sword and Shield, which I don't know how I feel about that.
They did re-release Sword and Shield with the DLC on cartridge as a standalone.
Like a Game of the Year sort of thing?
Yeah, sort of, but it is like, it's more than 60. I think it's at least $90.
You think that was the right direction for them to go? The DLC route instead of like releasing a third version like they usually do?
I mean, I do like good DLC. I do prefer everything to be on the cartridge though, but if I enjoy the game, I would rather have DLC. To be honest, I prefer like a lot of DLC these days is kind of bite-sized. I prefer like more meaty expansions. I think their traditional approach of re-releasing a single like edition is generally like, does it merge the Pokédex? Like, can you get both of the Pokemon from the separate versions in the newer game?
I think it does.
Well, actually, that's got to be a better approach then. Do you really see people replaying the same game on console again just because it's got a few extra things in?
Only some people, of course, the diehards.
Yeah,
and the nostalgia.
The DLC was probably the better way to go, because they made up for it with like adding loads of the Pokemon in, didn't they, in the Tundra?
Yeah, they certainly had a lot of Pokemon, which kind of also got them in trouble, since in the original release they did say they weren't capable of expanding the Pokedex, and that turned out to be a lie, obviously with the DLC. And some people accused them of holding content and selling them at a separate price later on. I was like, Oh man, you're holding our content hostage. You were just planning to make extra bucks off that later on. None the wiser.
It is weird though how Pokemon has managed to maintain its status and relevancy over the years. It has had some competitors, but I don't think anything has really ever catched on.
There was that weird spin-off. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it was like a weird Pokemon spin-off. Or not. It had similar mechanics to Pokemon where you catch monsters.
Was it that one that was kickstarted that was like online?
It started with a T. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Temtem.
Yeah, Temtem. There you go. There you go. Temtem.
I mean, I'm not sure if it's come out yet, but I don't really hear a lot about it.
I think it came out already though. I'm pretty sure. Though I didn't really hear much of it.
I think Pokemon just has brand power.
It's too relevant nowadays. It's kind of hard at this point to come out with a decent competitor without Pokemon curb stomping the competition, man. And that's another problem too, with a certain franchise monopolizing the market with their own genre of gaming. Oh no, wait, no, Temtem is still in early access. Never mind.
Well, it's the same on the other side of the fence, like Call of Duty and stuff like that. They're just same thing every year.
It's already been an hour, dude. I'm not sure if you noticed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's gone really quick.
Yeah. We only talked about two of the subjects or three of the subjects on the list. That's surprising.
We did the Direct and a bit of Pokemon.
Yeah, we did Direct, Pokemon.
Touched on Fire Emblem, but I did have a lot for it. But I don't want to make it run for like 3 hours.
Wait, you have a lot for it, or you didn't have a lot for Fire Emblem?
I have a lot for Fire Emblem.
Really? Well, we could talk about that a little bit, I guess.
My shortest topic was probably Zelda.
Yeah, me too. Let's talk about Fire Emblem. Fuck it.
Yeah, Fire Emblem's great. I love Fire Emblem. Huge Fire Emblem fan. But I haven't played many of the games.
Yeah, most of the GBA games are not, well, the actual copies of them, they're not really accessible to the Western.
The availability of Fire Emblem in the West is pretty bad.
Yeah, like Radiant Dawn and Radiant Path of Radiance, copies of those. Have you seen the prices of those games? Trying to get those on Amazon and eBay. It's ridiculous, dude.
I didn't own a 3DS, so I missed out on 3 of the titles on there.
Yeah,
Fates, 3 or 4 of the titles.
Fates Awakening and Shadows of Valentia. Oh, Shadow Dragon. I haven't tried that one either. I heard mixed things about Shadow Dragon. It's kind of wanky.
I did emulate the original, well, what we got as Fire Emblem in the West on the Game Boy Advance. I think it's the one with Lynn, Hector, and Elwood.
FE7? That's one with Lynn, Hector, and Ellie Wood. I
have played through it once. It was really good. I played a bit of Sacred Stones as well. I did enjoy that. But in terms of like Fire Emblem, I randomly stumbled across Fire Emblem in 2008. I was at a Blockbuster and I was looking for Wii games, and Radiant Dawn had just released, and I didn't know what it was, but it just looked cool, so I ended up buying it, and that's my favorite Fire Emblem game to date. I've played through the game about 30 times. It's really good.
30 times? What the fuck?
Yeah, I've played so many hours of that game over the years.
The gameplay looks really slow, though, doesn't it?
It is a bit slow, and it is brutally difficult, but it's just a good game. To be honest, like if they were gonna do HD remasters, that would be the one I'd want them to do.
Imagine Path of Radiance and graphics of Three Houses. Well, what do you think of the graphics from Three Houses?
It looks okay. I think graphically the environments are pretty bad. For some reason, they spent a lot of the time. There's a feature where you can zoom into the battlefield.
Yeah.
And you can move around like you can in like the Warriors games.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
But I don't know why they had to implement that.
Yeah, the point of view from that angle didn't really contribute anything. It was just kind of like an aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like the Fire Emblem Warriors game looks better than the Three Houses game. And I think a lot of the visuals suffer from having to fully 3D render everything all the time. The monastery section looks so bad.
Oh, the monastery?
Yeah, loads of the smaller details are just really bad.
Oh yeah, don't expect like big graphics like Crisis and shit. Nah, it's just the anime style.
I know, but Breath of the Wild looks better, and that is more of an intense game.
What graphical style would you like to see a Fire Emblem game though, if they were ever to make a new one later on? I
do like the anime style. Maybe something like Breath of the Wild wouldn't be too bad, but I'm thinking like ideally, if I could have an ideal, something hand drawn. So like a Ghibli movie kind of aesthetic,
like Valkyria Chronicles or some other shit like.
Actually,
3D cell shade.
Valkyria Chronicles is a really good example, actually. Yeah, I've recently played Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah, it's a good game, dude. It's a good game.
The first one, it was amazing.
Yeah, I loved it.
I haven't played 4 yet, but the remaster or the complete version of the first one on the Switch was really good. That art style is really good as well. I think something like that would be perfect. It kind of reminds me a bit like Borderlands.
Yeah, it looks similar to Borderlands too.
I prefer the style in Valkyria.
Yeah,
but that aesthetic would be brilliant. Even if you could freely move in that sort of the way Valkyria works with the movement mechanics.
Yeah, the stamina system thing.
Yeah, even if it was like a spin-off title, that would be a really good idea. In terms of free houses, though, it was a good step in the right direction. I enjoyed it. I've played through the game 9 times. They did a lot right, but there's a lot of things that I don't like. Part 1 especially is really repetitive.
Yeah, it's just teaching classes over and over again, and that's kind of dull.
You can skip the monastery, but then you miss out on like resources.
Yeah.
I wish like they had designed the game with these 4 routes in mind, but like I wish they'd gone with like a single story that just branches off in directions.
Post-time skip or?
Or maybe multiple throughout the story. So at the start, you're forced to choose your house. I feel like that's where they went wrong. Like you should have just been a teacher that teaches different students, and like you learn about them through that in part 1, and then in part 2 is like the war 5 years later, and then you get involved with different sides. If you choose Dimitri's side, for example, there's a bit where you basically have to assist Claude later in the war phase. You rescue him.
Yeah.
And then he basically just fucks off. He doesn't join your army, which would have made more sense.
Yeah, Claude is he's a schemer. He's not as direct as the other characters. He has things going on in the background. Pretty much runs away to his homeland to bring other things, and
I know, but I just wish like you followed the war phase and you could split with Dimitri in one part or something, and you wouldn't see what happens to Claude, and then like the story branches out differently. Because it is kind of a bit messy. I don't like the way they handled it.
Yeah, a certain character dies in like 90% of the routes. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers.
Who's your favorite lord?
Definitely Dimitri.
Yeah, same, dude. Interesting character. I really like his redemption arc and his...
I like his redemption arc, but they kind of like cut it a bit short. He just, one day he's really moody and the next day he's fine.
It kind of built up over time. Like every time you go back to the monastery, you talk to him and he slowly warms up again.
Should have been a bit more of a transition, but I feel like they ran out of time.
It was a kind of a long game though. Each route was kind of longish.
But each route is also kind of samey.
Samey?
Yeah, a lot of the missions are similar and a lot of the events are similar, but thematically a lot of it doesn't make sense. Like for example, Dimitri's final boss fight is normally just an average level for the other chapters.
Yeah.
Without certain events, but I feel like if they'd gone with one cohesive story that could have been branching paths or something, it would have been way better for replayability. I also didn't like the fact that they removed the weapon triangle.
Kind of made the weapon classes kind of pointless in a way, but not really, because it did give a variety in the class systems they use, but I guess there was no really benefit to have a certain advantage over another unit, because you could just bring like a team of all mages and just go ham on the magic and all that shit.
You can sort of get the weapon triangle back by playing maddening mode, which does have all the enemies have like weapon breaker skills, which is their version of the triangle. Yeah,
the weapon breakers. They double you, I think. I forgot.
It's basically like you get a stat boost against lancers or whatever if you've got an axe.
Yeah, the stat inflation in the higher difficulties is ridiculous. Jesus Christ.
I don't like maddening mode. It is very tedious. Hard is too easy though. I feel like there should have been a bit of in between.
Yeah, I played my first playthrough on hard and it was kind of okay. It was like not too difficult. It wasn't too easy, but it was just kind of like, it felt like medium difficulty than hard difficulty.
Yeah, that feels like what normal should have been. And maddening
it's
feels
just a huge
like,
jump. It's a huge jump.
There's no hard mode. It's just like lunatic or expert or something. It's just stupid. Speaking of the class system though, I really didn't like the class system. While it is cool in theory, the optimum class is just to have everyone as Wyvern Riders.
Yeah, that's one issue with that.
I prefer it in like Sacred Stones where a unit promotes and then they get a choice of 2 options what they promote to. So like a mercenary could be like a hero or like some sort of axe wielder if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's how it usually was in other games like Fates and Awakening. There's always a branch.
Better. It makes characters more unique as well, because like every character is basically an everyman free houses, which I kind of don't like.
It was also kind of limited because weren't some classes gender locked in three houses as well?
Yeah, that was another weird restriction. They should have just like restricted certain characters to certain classes.
Yeah, they definitely could have gone that route instead. I guess they were experimenting to see how it goes, but I guess it wasn't as great as they thought it would be.
I mean, I did like the skill system though, learning the abilities, but it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, learning it through the classrooms was kind of interesting. Teaching your students, raising their parameters, raising their weaknesses and their favorite skill parameter, like defense or something.
The best part of that game is the characters by far and the interactions with other characters.
Like in story or like personality?
Well, outside, even the story, like their interactions are quite good, but outside of the story, all the optional interactions are really good.
Yeah,
you get like the little side quests and like the conversations between them. I feel like they did like that aspect of it really well, but I see why they had the monastery. I just wish they'd sort of like done it a bit differently, because I do like the life sim part of free houses, because you do really get to know these characters. You learn about their strengths and weaknesses, and they do feel distinct.
Yeah, the monastery wasn't half bad. The only issue is that you had to do it over and over and over again if you wanted to do the other routes, and it was...
I mean, like, one of the main points of Fire Emblem is actually caring about the units so they don't die, and I think like they did that part right.
Yeah, they did that part right. Yeah, like you can only recruit a certain amount of units, like steal classmates from other classrooms and have them join your team, because, you know, like after time skip, you have to go against them, and some of them may permanently die off, and that's no good.
I feel like, I think it is the best-selling Fire Emblem game of all time.
Pretty sure it is.
I think it's just overtaken Fate. I really wish we would get more games. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to be a big seller for Nintendo. I think it broke 1 million, but I don't think it broke 3 million.
It has gone more mainstream than it was certainly past. It's definitely a lot more well-known, especially because of the voice actors too. Because a lot of the voice actors that had their work contributed to the game, they interact on social media a lot with the game and the audience and the fans. They're very active.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of famous voice actors on there, like Geralt is Solid Snake.
Yeah.
And the lady in the monastery, the priestess woman.
Oh, Saros?
Who's like...
Oh, wait.
No, not Rhea.
Oh, Rhea. I forgot her name. I mixed it up.
The Hanneman's rival, the Manuela, the
pinup lady?
Yeah. She is Ash Ketchum, Pokemon voice actor.
She's the voice of Ash?
Yeah, in the anime.
The fuck?
Yeah, it's really creepy.
That's surprising. I didn't expect Ash and her to have the same VA.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird famous VAs in it. Like, also Sophus is from Persona. She's the little cat in Persona.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
There's loads of great crossovers in that respect. I feel like, yeah, they did well with the voice acting. The voice acting generally is superb all around.
Voice acting isn't really too common in Fire Emblem games besides, like, what, Shadows of Valentia? And did Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance have a lot of voice acting in it?
I haven't played Path of Radiance much, but Radiant Dawn had limited voice acting.
Just like for cutscenes and not the actual dialogue?
There was a handful of cutscenes.
And I heard the dubs were pretty bad for it.
They are pretty bad. And every time you go before a battle, you get like an overview. There's a voice actor for that. They've got the same voice actor throughout the game who gives you like an overview of what's going on in the world. And then most of it is all text-based, which is probably for the best based on the cinematic voices. I am glad they are giving it like the proper care and love that they should be.
Yeah, it's slowly upgrading in terms of like quality of life and the new fancy stuff these modern games are having. Certainly modernizing. It's not lagging behind as it was back in the day.
I just hope we'll get more Fire Emblem on the Switch, although I really doubt we will.
Like, they have to. Like, it's not like the Switch is going to advance to the next generation like the PS5 and the Xbox. It's going to be around for a while. I see the Switch having a long lifespan, so yeah, there's going to be another Fire Emblem, I believe.
It took so long, though, for Free Houses. Like, other than that, we've got the Fire Emblem 1 digital limited release bullshit.
Yeah, rehash, basically.
There's that Tokyo Mirage Sessions that I haven't played yet.
Yeah, I played it. It's a good game. It's just very...
Not Fire Emblem, is it?
It does have Fire Emblem characters to
more
it,
RPG.
and some story elements of Fire Emblem to it, but it's just like a JRPG. It feels more like a standalone, really. It's its own thing.
I did like Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm hoping they do a sequel for that with better characters.
More representation.
Yes, more, and also better characters.
They need 7 Lins in there ASAP.
Yeah, and hopefully less clones. A lot of the characters have similar movesets, which is a bit disappointing.
Oh yeah, all the classes had their own specific movesets, which was kind of meh.
Yeah, it's a bit jank.
Okay.
And the DLC was alright, but it adds a lot of characters that are either clones or already in the game, and paywalls them as a bit bullshit.
And no one even remembers the protagonist of that game. Everyone forgets them. The Blondies, the Gokus,
It's
the
funny
Narutos.
because the characters that they made for that game, why they didn't just use the Fire Emblem Heroes characters? They're way better.
Oh, the mobile?
Yeah, Alphonse and his sister, the blonde one, Sharina.
How familiar are you with the mobile game anyways? I did kind of introduce you to it a while ago, but you weren't really into it.
I did play it, but I don't know, I just can't get into it. It's too simple. It's not fun enough for me.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. It's changed a lot, but it's still pretty predatory in the mobile aspect, of course, but it's a gacha game. What do you expect?
Yeah, I'm not really down for that. I'd rather have like a full campaign I can get invested in. What do you think is their most likely next point of call on the Switch?
Like a new sequel story, or like maybe a port?
What do you think they'll release next? Do you think there'll be a remaster, a new entry, or a spin-off or something?
I think a remaster or a port, because I think next time we might, since we got SOV, and we are getting a lot of Wii U ports lately, you know? So I'm guessing we might get a Papa Radiance or Radiant Dawn at some point.
I would like them games. I'd even be happy if they were just ports, but I don't know. I think they could use remakes. Logically, I think they might go even further back. Like, I think Sacred Stones would be a good one to remake. It's got 2 paths in it.
I heard that game's pretty easy compared to the other Fire Emblem games.
It can be, but they could probably up the difficulty somehow.
Have that maddening mode onto it.
Oh yeah. And the problem with that game is, like, it's the same with Free Houses. You can basically grind between the missions. It's got like a little world map, and you can go on bonus missions.
Yeah, Fates had a similar thing like that, but I think it was DLC. It had like a map where you can just grind money and EXP for days, and you can just be completely over leveled. Oh, it was optional, of course. It was optional. You weren't forced to use it. It's just like an added thing to make your life easier.
A big part of the game for me is, like, you can't get all the resources, or you can't get all the classes or characters. You have to pick and choose, and then you have to, like, manage with what you got a lot of the time. I kind of prefer that aspect. In Fire Emblem Free Houses, you can literally just do like free battles a week, and you can like over level yourself it's just a walk in the park. Yeah. There are ways to challenge yourself, but I don't know. I didn't like that approach. They did better with the weapons, that you could repair them and stuff, but it was a kind of a pain to repair the legendary weapons. So, like most Fire Emblem games, I just didn't use them.
It does make sense they make the legendary weapons so fragile, because you don't want to use an overpowered weapon throughout the entire playthrough, just steamrolling everything.
No, but I feel like there should be ways for them to at least replenish slightly, or slightly easier to repair.
To repair them, you have to use like unique materials to repair them compared to the average weapons you use, like silver weapons and steel.
Yeah, so a lot of the time I just like forge steel or silver weapons and just live on them.
Yeah, I did the same thing. It was just easier and cheaper to do for that route instead. Like, I only used the legendary weapons on boss fights. That's about it. I never really used it on generic mobs or anything like that.
But I had way too much money in that game, so I never ran out of materials. So it's almost like the durability is just there for tedium.
Too much money. Anna wasn't doing her job well enough then to scam you out of that.
I don't know. I just don't think the difficulty is
not done right.
No. Whereas the older games are too hard.
The older games?
Yeah, like if you play Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn on normal, it's still quite a challenge.
Yeah, the Black Knight come out of nowhere and stomp your ass or something. I would like to play Radiant Dawn though, if they ever port it to the Switch.
There's a lot of downtime in Radiant Dawn though, because the story, it's one story, but it's taken from different angles. And the Dawn Brigade are difficult to play as.
Dawn Brigade.
Yeah, they're pretty weak.
Really?
And their lord is a light mage, and she can be strong, but she's like, if you don't train her, she's just trash.
Are you talking about Micaiah or?
Yeah.
Oh, her.
It's all right later in the game when you get Ike as a playable unit.
Yeah.
Because he just steamrolls everything. But I am hoping for more Fire Emblem. I'd take anything.
Yeah, but I do predict the next Fire Emblem release will be a port or a remaster, whatever. It's going to be a remaster at $60.
They didn't do much for the anniversary, but surely they've got to be doing something. And I know you joke about the $60 remaster, but that would still be cheaper than paying like second-hand price for it.
Or $69 for the PS5 games.
Well, Radiant Dawn and the Path of Radiance go for over $100 each. So getting one of those for $60, brand new.
I thought they were more expensive than that. Some prices were like $300 or some shit like that.
It depends on the condition.
Fucking scalpers everywhere. What do you think the next thing is going to be? Port? New game, maybe?
If I was optimistic, it would be Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn ported as a double pack.
Double pack?
I would like them to come together as a port, because it wouldn't be that much if they've spent all this time making sure Sunshine from the GameCube can run on.
Oh, that's Mario, man. That's Switch. Mario.
Yeah, but they've obviously gone through the effort to emulate it. If they can spend their time doing that, and they've got an N64, a GameCube, and a Wii game emulated on the Switch, surely Fire Emblem, which is a lot simpler, it's just basically point and click. Surely that would be a lot easier to emulate on the Switch. Obviously, I would prefer they get full remakes, but I would take a port at this point. If I was going to be realistic, like they probably are going to do a remake of something, I think. I would have liked more DLC for Free Houses, but I don't know. I don't think there's much they can do there.
There's more costumes, bro. This time you get stripper costumes or some shit.
I still won't make it any better. The story is kind of like all over the place, and it's not consistent enough to have a sequel. They could do a prequel, but then again, you'd sort of know how it would end. They could have done like Ceros versus Nemesis and the Elites or something, but I don't know. I would like a Warriors game with the Free Houses characters. So, you know how they did Hyrule Warriors? They did a sequel to Hyrule Warriors called Age of Calamity, which just has the Breath of the Wild characters.
Yeah.
I think they could do that with Fire Emblem and just have the Free Houses characters in their own Warriors game. Well, and it could sort of be like a what-if scenario, because Age of Calamity isn't canon.
Oh, yeah.
It's set before Breath of the Wild, but it takes a different timeline. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, because, Breath of the Wild had those 4 heroes, but they're not alive during the events of Breath of the Wild, but they are in the Age of Calamity, so it's kind of an interesting point of view back when they were all alive and before the whole Calamity Ganon business ruined everything and all that shit.
Oh, yeah, but it doesn't follow. So it does follow those plot points, but then it kind of diverges off. It spins off a little bit. It doesn't follow. I don't think it follows canonically where they all die.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, I think that's what a lot of people were complaining about, because it's its own story in a way.
Oh, okay.
But I would like Free Houses to do something like that with a Warriors game. Maybe then you could have Edelgard and Dimitri on the same team.
Yeah, if that happens, then people will just complain, oh man, now Three Houses is just becoming the new Fates, and now they're only gaining their own characters, in their own game. No representation from the older games. Oh man.
Well, I mean, like, Fire Emblem Warriors is essentially Fire Emblem Fates, so, I mean, sure.
Fire Emblem Fates with some time travelers and shit.
Basically. But, I don't know, I really don't know what they could do, because Koei Tecmo have been very busy doing other stuff, so I don't think they got time for it.
Yeah, Koei has their hands in a lot of games. Fairy Tail, AOT, Dynasty Warriors, Atelier, Fire Emblem, like, Jesus Christ, the list can go on.
Well, if they are helping with Fire Emblem, they could release more games with intelligent systems.
Intelligent systems is just kind of like riding on the coattails of the mobile game, since the mobile game makes them a fuck ton of money each month. Well over the 100,000s and sometimes $1 million every month.
Could be bizarre, but they could do like a multiverse crossover, but in actual Fire Emblem style rather than Warriors.
Multiverse, that's what Fire Emblem Heroes is. It's a crossover between all the characters.
They could do it as like a full game.
Like a AAA game?
Yeah, well, I don't think Free Houses is really AAA.
Oh,
I mean, probably touts itself as, but I don't know, it's questionable sometimes. It's definitely in the A tier, but
it's an A
AAA
tier.
is a bit of a push.
It's not, no. what's it called? It's not no. Well, Halo's dead. I was gonna say Halo, but that's way dead.
Oh no, Halo's got delayed because of the graphics. I did have stuff for Microsoft, but we're probably not going to have time to touch on them. But to keep it short, yeah, they're in a bit of a mess.
Time we can go shit on Microsoft for a bit. Since this whole podcast was mostly focused on Nintendo, but that's fair because February was kind of a hot topic for Nintendo with the Directs and Pokemans and all that shit.
Well, even the Direct has more views than the State of Play.
Really?
The Pokemon one though has more views than both of them combined.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pokemon's massive.
Yeah, even with the less effort, because they got so much product going out, man. Because the mobile games, they got Pokemon Masters, Pokemon Go is still pretty relevant, even though it's kind of old. And that's making them a fuck ton of money.
There's that toothbrush one, isn't there? Where you can brush your teeth.
There's toothbrush and the Pokemon Sleep. I'm not sure what the hell that shit's about. I don't know how that works, but it's all a meme at this point. And then they have that Pokemon cooking game app, the kitchen app.
I don't know what is going on with Pokemon.
They have so much product going out, especially on the mobile market.
Yeah, there was a mobile one on Switch actually. Was it? They're all like square blocks.
Oh, it's like I know what you're talking about.
Can't remember what it's called, but that was on Switch.
Yeah, they showed it in the beginning 5 minutes of that montage they did. They showed it in there.
That montage is pretty cool, by the way.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I like seeing all the old accessories.
Yeah, it kind of makes me remember, I forgot I used this thing back in the day. I had to use this for the older games, the older GBAs and shit.
I'm surprised Nintendo don't, because they abandoned their virtual console for favor of the NES and SNES apps, which are a bit lackluster. I'm surprised they don't do like a GameCube one, not GameCube, Game Boy or handheld ones. I'd love them to do a GameCube one, but I doubt they just release them like for $60. But I'm surprised more Pokemon isn't available on the Switch.
Which one?
Just like more of the older games. Like imagine being able to emulate like Gold and Silver as downloadable eShop titles.
That would be pretty good. They kind of did that with like Gold and Silver and Red, I think. But that was on the DS with the 3DS.
Yeah, so I'm really surprised they don't do it on the Switch because it just seems perfect.
Playing Gen 1 on the Switch would be pretty rad.
Let's go.
That knockoff champion, knockoff Gary.
It was all right. My biggest regret is buying the Pokeball, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that Pokeball product. I forgot about that shit.
Yeah, because the worst part is you get Mew with the Pokeball. But if you ever delete your save or restart the game, you can't get Mew back.
Even if you...
Because the Mew is on the Pokeball and you transfer him to the game, but then he's not on the Pokeball anymore. It's a one-time thing.
It just becomes a paperweight after then.
Wait, it's a controller, but it doesn't work with any of the games.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I basically paid like £50 for Mew. I am stupid.
Did you delete it by accident or what?
No, I've beat the game. I've got 152 Pokemon, I think. Because you could get Melmetal in it by trading.
Melmetal? What the hell's that?
From the Pokemon Go, the metal.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen that.
Yeah. You could get him. So I basically ended up trading all my Pokemon to get other Pokemon from different versions. So I did complete the Pokedex, even though I don't have them on the game.
Right.
But I would never restart now because, like, what would be the point?
At this point,
It wasn't even that hard, though. That's the worst part.
But yeah, they keep dumbing out the difficulty, make it easier for younglings.
You start with Pikachu or Eevee, and they can basically one-shot everything.
It's just like the anime.
They get loads of moves that are like weird types. Like Pikachu can use Surf and stuff. It's just weird. Just breaks the game a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, it's a lot more streamlined for modern use. So some of the older fans complain that it's too easy, but then again, that's kind of to be expected from older fans. Oh, the newer games are too easy. It's too mainstream now.
I mean, we have just spent like a couple of hours banging on about how Pokemon and Fire Emblem are too easy.
But yeah, slowly, and holding. But I guess it does kind of work to bring in new customers and not the hardcore gamers. Because the casual gamers definitely outnumber the hardcore gamers, that's for sure, I think.
Oh, definitely. I'd rather see a franchise live long and be successful than just get buried. But then again, it's a monkey's paw, isn't it? You could want your franchise to do well, but it could like just become the very thing that you dislike in the end.
Yeah, small sacrifice to pay.
I mean, Fire Emblem can do things better though, even if it's more accessible. I would appreciate more life simmy aspects.
More life what?
Well, I know Fates gets a lot of flack for like basically shipping characters together.
Yeah,
to get,
anime
like,
fan
all the
service
children.
sort of thing. Yeah.
But I get why they do it.
It appeals to the common weeb or the
But I
common
feel
man.
like in the Fire Emblem, the bonds are quite important, especially in battle. So it is kind of a shame that you couldn't like pair up the characters in free houses. They didn't necessarily
They
have
had
to have
the
children.
Juddins, whatever you call it. It did have that sort of.
Yeah, it was alright. You could only have 3 though.
It was kind of watered down, but it did kind of work. It did provide some abilities, but it wasn't. Did it provide a stat boost as well? I can't remember.
A little bit.
Because if you had
But-
like a healer like Flame, they'll randomly heal you after every attack just in case. Sometimes it happens like that.
Yeah, but it's kind of generic and it's not a unique effect. It would have been more appreciated if you could have like, so like Annette and Mercedes are like best friends.
Yeah.
And you you don't really see it in battle. It would have been cool if like they could have had some kind of bonding mechanics or something.
Like unique voice lines or unique stat boost or
Yeah,
unique
just
traits
anything
they
that
can learn.
Kind of like you invest time in their relationship, you get something out of it rather than just the generic ABC support rank that you have.
ABCS. But
Well,
yeah,
you can't really S a lot of people. You can only S with one person.
specific people. But yeah, that's more of the shipping territory.
I don't
The
know.
shipping
it just would've been
territory
cool
is always
if you could
controversial
pair
at
people.
some points.
I mean, yeah, they are literally students and kids. So
It is.
it also would have been weird.
And there's always the problem with what's canon and what's not canon, you know?
Yeah, then you could basically like marry Cyril and like Manuela or something. It'd just be weird.
Oh yeah, the family Alabama shit.
But no, in general, this has been fun. It's been quite good. I think probably wrap it up here though. I had fun.
Well, yeah, thanks for participating in the podcast and thanks for testing out this trial run of this new experimental project. I'll just say a farewell to the podcast. My name's Adonri and we got Richard here.
Yeah.
I'll leave a link to his channel just in case anybody wants to check out the thing. Just shilling some
Yeah,
product there, don't mind me.
In case you haven't seen the gameplay on your channel already.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. We'll be signing off. Thanks and bye-bye.
Thank you very much.